Jermaine Kearse. Many of you know him from the sports world. Husky legend, went to UW, and then of course we know him from the Seahawks Super Bowl victory. Jermaine had a touchdown.
Roger, that touchdown, Maynard. No, he touchdown, right?
Legendary touchdown. Now, a golf business entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Jermaine.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
What point in your career did you go, you know what, football is going to end and I'm going to be a golf business entrepreneur?
Once I kind of understood the thought that adversity is always going to show up at some point in time, and being able to kind of like handle that in the right way, but the healthy way, I was able to kind of have a lot more success in my journey. I knew that it was going to involve a lot of golf. I didn't think it was going to be this. When I finished playing football, I wanted to spend my time doing something that I loved doing, and I love playing the game of golf. Definitely trying to build a business. I've never started a business before. At some point, you're always going to fail. You just got to make sure you fail forward, and that kind of really stuck with me. Not necessarily be afraid of failure. It's going to show up at some point in some form, but you got to always just fail forward and progress forward.
What does it take to build a business like this? How would someone get started on this? What would you do some of your best tips? What's up, everybody? Welcome again to another episode of Seattle Living and Wealth Building. Super excited for our show today. Today we are out in the community. We are on site at Evergreen Golf Club in Redmond with one of the pillars of our local community as well. So today's guest is Jermaine Kearse. Many of you know him from the sports world, Lakes product out of Tacoma. Husky legend, went to UW, second team All Pac-10 a couple of years, and then of course we know him from the Seahawks Super Bowl victory, Super Bowl 48. Jermaine had a touchdown, and we set the record.
Not just a touchdown, Maynard. That was he touchdown, right? Let's be real.
Legendary touchdown, but got to lay it out like that because we could spend a lot of time talking about, Jermaine's football career. But here we are at Evergreen Golf Club, and we're going to talk a lot about life after football and how he ended up being now a golf business entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Jermaine.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, cool. Appreciate having you on. I think at what point in your career did you go, you know what, football is going to end and I'm going to be a golf business entrepreneur?
I don't think I was really thinking about that during my career. Luckily, though, we had a lot of great leaders in our locker room, and Sidney Rice being one of them, just kind of taking a lot of us young guys under his wing and just kind of not only showing us the ropes of just how the NFL and the business works and how to kind of conduct yourself as a professional in the NFL, but starting to kind of branch out and get into a lot more things outside of football and networking with people and just introducing and building relationships outside of football, and just kind of leading that path to, think of what could be next post-football career.
Awesome. Incredible. So Sidney, right, that was in the Seahawks days, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was Sidney doing that kind of helped you influence and get you, the early path to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because Sidney is a big relationship guy. I don't know, whatever city we went to, whether it was traveling or in the off season, he was always a guy that knew a bunch of people there and just had great relationships with people. And so that kind of just seeing that and witnessing that, just understood the power of just relationship and networking and building those relationships, because you just never know really where it's going to take you or what might come up out of it. So just kind of being around him and getting introduced to the people that he was connected with was super beneficial in just terms of seeing what that was like. Because for me, I was just usually pretty to my friend group or my teammates and just kind of pretty closed off. But that definitely showed me that I needed to kind of branch out and put myself out there a little bit more.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think most people assume, to be a professional athlete, like everybody looks at you as being this confident, especially a football player, right? Because there's a level of, physicality, aggression to it. But to hear that you're maybe more of a closed off person naturally, but that was a skill that you kind of had to develop, I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most athletes are kind of like that. We're always in the spotlight, and so sometimes that sense of privacy is comforting, and just being able to have that. It's pretty easy to want to kind of be in your own shell and kind of have that privacy and just kind of be a homebody. I mean, there's moments and times where you're out and about, or whether it's appearances or you're going out with your buddies, but it was definitely a different perspective of putting yourself out there and meeting new people. It wasn't more so pictures. I mean, there was some of that aspect of the clout that you had, but it was just kind of a different perspective of putting yourself out there and meeting new people.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's cool is I think, when you look back at Jermaine's career, there was a lot of adversity and obstacles that you overcame. I was looking back at, when you announced your retirement from football, and you made a post to everybody, thanked everybody and mentioned some adversity you had to overcome. And it'd be interesting to talk about maybe what some of those bigger challenges were, like in your career, and what got you to here. And then also, I found it interesting too, in that post, you said, not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I know it's going to involve a lot of golf.
Yeah, I mean, even from college, just kind of dealing with adversity and just in different aspects, whether it's mentally or physically. Once I kind of understood the thought that adversity is always going to show up at some point in time, and being able to kind of like handle that in the right way, but the healthy way. I was able to kind of have a lot more success and have a little more confidence in kind of just going about my progress and my journey. And so the more I understood how to kind of handle those kind of things and understand that it's something that's going to happen, at the moment, it's probably going to happen in the future, it was easier for me to be able to handle those situations and be able to handle them in the right way. When I did retire, I knew that it was going to involve a lot of golf. I didn't think it was going to be this, but super fortunate and happy that it did end up with this. And, now we're just trying to build something special here.
So let's talk about like what is essentially my favorite pastimes. When did you get into golf, and kind of what was the thing that spurred you on in getting into it? I mean, a lot of professional athletes obviously take up golf once they're done their playing careers or, towards the end of it. So it sounds like that was a similar thing for you.
Yeah. Around 2013, 14, I got into the game of golf with my stepdad. He got my brothers and I into it. That's when I just kind of first started playing. Around 2016, 17 is when I really got into it. That's when I got, yeah.
You're still playing football, right? So this is
still playing.
Yeah.
I was out
on Monday after a football game, or
no.
Off season.
This was off season. But this is when I was out in New Jersey, and my family wasn't out there with me, so I had the ability to right after our workouts and stuff, we were done usually by noon, and one of my teammates and we would just, as soon as our workouts were done and we were done and we were out the building, we were heading to some sort of golf course, and that's when I kind of really got into it. Especially my teammate, his name was Andre Roberts, and he was a lot better than me, and so we would always compete. And so then that's when I kind of really got the competitive juices going.
Yeah, well, you mentioned before, when we were speaking, that part of the reason why golf really appeals to you is because of that competitive drive you have, right? I mean, and the fact that you have a friend, a teammate who's sitting there and he's kicking your butt, that's got to kind of push you to just want to be as good a golfer as you can be.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a very competitive person, and so with golf, it's no different. Especially when I retired from football, it's like I needed something to compete at, and golf, perfectly just stepped into the right position to be able to do that, and super competitive. I mean, I'm competitive to this day. I had a tournament this past weekend, didn't play the way I wanted to, and it feels the same way if I played bad in a game. And so now I'm like going back to the drawing board and trying to figure out like what do I need to do to get better, and perform better in these tournaments. And so it's no different. and I enjoy it. I love it. I love competing, and so it's great to have that.
Love it.
So when you were in high school, you were a 3-sport athlete, right? But golf wasn't one of those things. So when did golf become like interesting, or when did it click that beyond like, okay, I can do this, but actually really love this game?
I've gone to a couple driving ranges in college. Nothing serious. I didn't have my own clubs. It was one of those, you just kind of show up to the driving range, use one of their clubs.
Right, just crash it as far as you can hit it.
Yeah, I remember one time a club slipped and I like the club flew into the driving range. But I would say when my stepdad kind of brought us out to the golf course, it started piquing my interest. And then I had some teammates when I was playing for Seattle that played golf, Golden Tate and Brian Walters, and so I would go out with them. And they've started playing golf well before me, and I'm just seeing how good these guys are, and I'm just like trying to just keep up with them. And so that's when it really kind of like piqued my interest of like, man, I got kind of like really enjoy this. You're outside for a couple hours, you're with your buddies, and so it was becoming very enjoyable at the moment. Little did I know it caused me more frustration than anything, but I think it's a good, healthy frustration.
Yeah. What an interesting sport. So after college, after you retired, right? What were your plans just for life after football, other than knowing you were going to play a lot of golf? But how'd you end up where you are today?
Yeah. So, I retired in 2019. And I mean, little did I know we were going to go right into a pandemic. I had just broke my leg or dislocated my leg, so I was kind of rehabbing through that. And so I ended up going on staff with the University of Washington football team. I just kind of wanted to explore some options and possibly see if I wanted to get on the other side of football, maybe probably get into some player development stuff with the college athletes. I love being around the players, so that's something that was really kind of piquing my interest that I wanted to do. I spent probably about 6 months there. I did the COVID season there, which was a great way to just kind of get out the house. And then I met with a couple buddies down at a club I belonged to down in Tacoma, and we were just they were exploring the idea about possibly starting some sort of golf academy thing. And so I was like, well, let me know, I'm interested. And we met one day and had a conversation. And, there were some parts to it that were interesting and some parts that I was like, I don't know if this might be a right fit for me. And then 2 weeks later, I got a call from one of my friends, Andrew Putnam, which is actually here, but ironically. And he just let me know, he hit me up and was just like, hey, I got a friend that might, be a perfect fit for what you're looking for. And so I asked him to put me in contact, and that was Greg Bodine. And Greg had just finished or just retired from caddying on the PGA Tour. He spent about 6 or 7 years with Tony Finau, and he had just finished. So he was kind of like in a similar spot of trying to kind of figure out what's next. I was in a similar spot trying to figure out what's next while I was still simultaneously doing the UW football stuff. And then Greg and I just met at a Starbucks, and we talked about 4 or 5 hours, and we were like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. And I told the head coach at UW, I was like, hey, I appreciate you allowing me to explore this and see if this is something I wanted to do, but I think I'm going to go start a golf facility. Which is great. Coach Lake was super cool about it. He appreciated my help that I brought, and he's a golfer too, so he completely understood.
Let's talk a little bit more about, obviously going from, this 5-hour meeting at a Starbucks with someone that you've never met before, and all of a sudden, your business partner is Greg, he's one of your best friends, and life is very different now. I mean, talk about that relationship dynamic and how you've kind of evolved as time has gone on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in that first meeting, I think within the first hour, I think our connection and chemistry was pretty evident. We had a lot of the same visions of kind of what we wanted to do. It's kind of funny because we were also kind of wondering. I'm like, well, like what's it gonna look like if we disagree on some things? there's been moments where we have disagreed on some things, but our ability to just kind of resolve and kind of see eye to eye and just kind of look at each other's perspectives have been great. And like I said, our chemistry was pretty evident in that first meeting, and we were just so on the same page with like our vision and kind of what we wanted to build and what we kind of wanted to look like. Now, there were a lot of things that changed throughout the building process, but I don't think we were ever on the, different pages when building this. And, just kind of getting to know him, more and more throughout the process, and we just became closer and closer. And it's just been, it's been a perfect match so far.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like, just shows the power of relationships, how, like you mentioned earlier, like building those relationships is what's really propelled you to be able to start this business or have, I guess, different paths you've gone forward. So it goes from a chance meeting or a casual conversation on the golf course. This is what's great about golf. It's a forum for connecting with people, going deep with people, business. I guess I'm just talking about how the power of relationships can get you here.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the great things about golf is, you just meet so many different people. You play with one person and they bring a friend and you bring a friend, and then, you spend hopefully no more than 4.5 hours on the golf course. I know that it could be a little bit longer, but you spend a long period of time with with those individuals, and hopefully you're taking advantage of that time to just kind of get to know that person, get to know who they are, what they're about, their background, where they're from, and just kind of see if there's a genuine connection there. And I've met one of my best friends on the golf course to this day, and he's helped me out in many different areas that I, wasn't really exposed to. And, we're super, I talk to him every single day, and, our relationship literally started on the golf course.
Yeah, that's amazing. This is your unpaid best friend financial advisor.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. His name is Dave Ross. He is such a great friend of mine. And, it started on the golf course. It's actually kind of funny. He'll tell the same story. Is like, it was pretty quiet on the front nine. We were kind of just feeling, everyone's kind of feeling each other out. I actually got invited by my teammate, Tyler Lockett. He was like, hey, do you want to go play Broadmoor? And I'm like, well, I've never played Broadmoor, so I'm down. And so, I went out there, and so everybody's kind of feeling each other out, getting to know each other, and then we get to the back nine, and that's when, we started getting a little competitive. Putting a little
money on
some wagers out. He spoke my language. And he's very similar in the same way, and so it just got competitive out there, and then one round led to another, and then led to a couple more, and then we just started getting closer. We started hanging out a little bit more. We just kind of pushed Tyler to the side. We were like, thanks for the connection. And then just one day I just asked him, I was like, hey, because I knew he was very involved with investing and a bunch of business stuff, and I had little education on that, little knowledge in that area. And I just asked him a simple question. It was like, hey, how do you even get involved in investments? Like, what does that even look like? Do people bring it up to you? And he kind of just explained it to me. And, then the next day he invited me to an investment meeting and just to kind of give me the experience, and perspective of like how these type of things come up, and what do these meetings look like? What are some of the things that they're talking about? Now, meanwhile, this first meeting, I had zero clue what they were talking about. And so, but I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and, they were great about just answering questions because they knew I was very new to this and didn't really know a lot. So they were just open to asking a lot of questions. They went out of their way to kind of explain, what might have been, a simple question to them, but to me, and, I like I said, I didn't really know much. And so it just kind of opened up a lot of doors.
There's no such thing as a dumb question, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's cool too, because I mean, just the same way as how this got started, like, you had an introduction, but then you also asked for the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people kind of are maybe either too shy or hesitant, and they don't say, hey, I don't know about this, but I'd love to learn. And then you show up to the meeting, like that shows some intent, some effort, where it's like, okay, you've given me this opportunity, but I'm also asking, for the info. So
yeah, for sure. Especially on the golf course. I mean, you don't know if you don't like someone until you talk to them. So,
Yeah.
On the golf course, I think you're going to find out by the end of the round. You're going to be like, you know what, this person is a cool person. Or you're going to be like, you know what, I probably won't play another round of golf with that person. But, you just got to take the opportunity to not only get to know that person, but allow them to get to know you as well. And, for my position, it's a little different because a lot of people, especially out here, knew me as being the Seahawk and whatnot. And it's funny because when I'm on the golf course, like, I want to play golf.
Mm-hmm. No, man.
And so, like, Dave, he'll always say this. He was like, because there might be some people, there's people we played with where they ask like a lot of football questions, and he can tell when I'm like not talking because my answers are very short. Yeah. They're just like very not detailed.
Yeah, trying to close the door on this.
I'm like, I got this game. I'm down through 2 holes to this guy. Like, I'm not worried. I'm trying.
Like, hey, so was it cool to be in the Super Bowl? You're like, yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
We can save that for after the round. But I also understand, there are certain situations too. Where, I understand, either what kind of round this might be. I kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, you kind of just pick and choose.
If you're with your buddies or just with one random person, it's very different.
Yeah, and I'm always respectful. I'm not, going to just shut the person out and or ever be like rude to the person. So, even if they are asking a bunch of questions, I'll answer them. But, there are certain times where I'm a little more detailed in answering.
Let's talk about Evergreen.
Yeah.
A little bit, because, this place is sick. It's really, really cool. I mean, for someone who doesn't know what Evergreen Golf Club is, let's hear a 60-second elevator pitch on what it is.
Yeah, so Evergreen Golf Club is a indoor performance facility. We have 8 simulator bays, 6 TrackMan, 2 About Golf. We have a 2,500 square foot short game complex. We dug a hole, built a bunker with some actual sand in there.
Coolest thing.
We also have a putting green that you can also putt on with PuttView technology, which whoever doesn't know what PuttView is, it's a German sport software company. We came and built our green. They scanned it, and you can set up any type of putt on there that you want, left or right. It can show your start line, your alignment, different practice, different games, distance control stuff. So there's a lot of variety of things that you can do where it can show the slope of the green, the percentage of the green. So a lot of things that you can do in terms of your putting practice. We also have a 1,500 square foot fitness center that we partnered with Golfletica Sports and Rehab, who they worked with a lot of PGA Tour players. So if anybody was working with some aches and pains, you can get that worked on. Or if you want to develop a plan for your fitness, you can also get that programmed well and do individual and group lesson or group fitness classes as well. But really, we just kind of wanted to create a community of golfers who just love the game of golf and want to get better. And we're all pretty competitive in here. We got a pretty big junior presence in here, and they're all super competitive. We always compete with them. Sometimes we beat them, sometimes we don't. But yeah, just really just wanted to create a community of golfers where people can enjoy the game and get better at the same time.
And then there's nothing like this, right? I mean, there's like small simulators. You got a driving range with a couple simulator bays. Like, what was your vision when you created this, and what was your target and goal?
Yeah, we wanted to create something a little different. Obviously, the weather, during 6 months of the year isn't the greatest out here in Washington, and not only the weather, the daylight. We're gonna start heading to a time where it's dark at 4 o'clock, and so that we just wanted to create a place where people can continue to work on their games and keep their games tuned in during those fall and winter months, where the weather and the daylight isn't to our advantage, and just create a place where people can come and do that.
kind of has like a country club atmosphere without being a country club.
Yeah, we're
Describe that. What does that mean?
It is very like country club like atmosphere, but we are far from like
Correct.
the country club culture.
But people come here and they hang out.
Yes,
You know, it's not just like you have an hour on a simulator and you go and use it and that's it.
No.
You come here, you hang out, you know, putt around a little bit, you hang out, watch some TV, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just like no different on the golf course. Like, you know, with our members here, you know, we want them to get to know us and we want to get to know them. And, you know, like I said, it's just kind of like build those relationships. And I think some people kind of are surprised a little bit when they see me like either working at the front desk or something like that, because they don't really expect it. But it's something I love to do. I mean, I love coming here. It's a huge passion of mine. It gives me some purpose. And I love getting to know new people and being able to kind of just show off my passion and learn about their passion for the game of golf, and then just trying to find ways to, you know, get each other better and be able to build relationships all through the game of golf.
So how much time do you actually spend here?
I spend a lot of time here. During the summer, usually I'm here for probably about 2-3 hours because I'm going to the golf course. But you know, during the fall and winter, I'm here for at least 7 hours.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So I think that's what's different too, is this is a full, you went all in on this passion, this business, where maybe some other athletes might just have their name associated with something, but, you know, not be as involved. So what were your thoughts when you just created this business venture? I'm curious also too, what were the biggest challenges that you had? Because, you know, our show's Seattle Living and Wealth Building. And did you think of this as like a wealth business building type activity, or did you think of it more as something fun to do, or is there a hybrid around that?
I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, I want to be profitable.
Yeah.
Because if we're not, we ain't gonna have it. But you know, if definitely, I think of it as a couple things. Is one, it's my passion. So you know, when I finished playing football, I wanted to spend my time doing something that I love doing, and you know, I love playing the game of golf, and I love being around it. And so that's one of the main things that I wanted to be a huge factor of building this. The second thing is definitely trying to build a business. I've never started a business before. So there was definitely a lot of things that I had to learn about being a business owner. You know, when we were raising money, you know, operation agreements, I've never had to deal with that. And then I probably read more operation agreements than I have in like 2 weeks span than I did in my whole previous life. And so, you know, it's just constantly learning. We got a really good a quote from one of our guys on our advisory board, and he said, you know, at some point you're always going to fail. You just got to make sure you fail forward. And you know, that kind of really stuck with me. It was like, you know, not necessarily being afraid, you know, of failure and kind of expecting. It's kind of like the adversity thing. It's going to show up at some point in some form. But you got to always just fail forward and progress forward. And so that's something that we always just kind of keep on our mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what does it take to build a business like this, right? So we got a lot of entrepreneurs who watch us. They've got big ideas. Can you give us some, you know, I know there's always more complexity to it, but how would someone get started on just wanting to, you know, build a business? What would be some of your best tips and maybe some challenges that you overcame?
Know what you're good at and know what you're not. You know, there was a lot of things I didn't know in terms of building a business, but Greg did, you know, and so we understood our role in building this. And, you know, not saying that I just said, hey, you do your thing and I'm gonna do my thing. You know, it was more so, okay, like you have a lot more knowledge and a lot more mentorship and support in this area. Now I'm going to listen and I'm going to try to learn as much as I can throughout that process, because it's something that I feel like that is super important. But I also knew that wasn't the strength of what I brought to the table, and knew that was his strength. But for me, it's just and that's why, you know, in terms of the chemistry when we were talking, like we knew our roles within this business, and we were able to take advantage of that while still learning from each other how to make something successful and being able to learn at the same time.
I would assume that, a big thing, especially when you're meeting with someone for the first time, being Greg at Starbucks, you guys obviously hit it off really quickly, but the world of communication is the reason why you guys have been as successful as you've been, right? Is making sure that you both are on the same page, communicating really well. I mean, I think that's a good lesson for any entrepreneur, that you have to make sure you're both in complete agreement with how you move forward, right?
Yeah, 100%. There were times, when we were building this place out, I mean, Greg and I would spend being here at 6 a.m. and leaving at 8 p.m. And as soon as I leave the parking lot, I'm like calling him, and we were just constantly like, maybe something, it takes time for me to kind of like process some things. And then I'm like, when I'm gone, I'm like, oh, I should have said it. So I would just call him. And there were times where we were constantly either talking on the phone, or just always in constant communication of just kind of being on the same page and make sure that we were on the same page and we were accomplishing what we wanted to do and what our vision was.
Yeah, that's a sign right there of somebody who is, I guess, truly passionate and fully invested, is where you wake up thinking about it, you spend all day thinking about it, you go to bed thinking about it, your mind is constantly on.
Yeah, for sure. And that was the case and still is.
Yeah.
Shows how much of a passion it is of yours, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So from a community standpoint, we talked about how you've been a part of the community for a long time, and what made you choose to, I guess, continue investing and being a part of our community, deciding on Evergreen Golf Club in Redmond? Like, what's your thoughts about the future and why, you're here investing in our community?
Yeah, for me, so like I said, just kind of building a community of people who share the same passion and being able to see what we can bring out of that throughout the people and relationships that we built. A lot of my work, I spend a lot of time with juniors and interacting with juniors, and trying to just build, continue to help build the next set of, Pacific Northwest junior golfers, and just really trying to help them reach their goals. We partnered with Safeway and First Tee of Seattle, creating scholarships for a junior program. We're going to be having a fundraiser here on December 4th to continue that mission, to be able to provide opportunities for junior golfers who might not have the exposure to the game of golf or the resources to explore the game of golf, and just really try to grow the game, and make it as receivable, and give a lot of communities who might not have that opportunity to explore this great game and explore all the great things that come with it.
Yeah, so you've got a charity event coming up. What about people who are just interested in Evergreen Golf Club? How do they learn more about it, and what's the structure like? I think it's a membership club, is that right?
Yeah, so we do have a membership. You can go on our website, evergreengolfclub.com. I would prefer you just come check it out and come meet us. I think a lot of people are pretty surprised. A lot of people that come here, they always say the pictures don't do it justice. When you get here, I think they have a thought in mind of what it looks like from the pictures until then you get here, and then most people's reaction is like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's dialed in for sure.
And but I think the most important thing is too, then you kind of get to know the people that work here, and just kind of see the culture that we're trying to build, and that's something that was important for me in terms of what we wanted this place and what the culture to look like. But we do have a membership. We have 3 different levels of membership. We also carry 3 different levels of junior programming as well.
Let's talk a little bit about, we know you live on the east side, right? Let's talk about, what's kind of continued to keep you here in the Seattle area. I mean, you're born and raised in Lakewood, as Maynard was saying. What is it about Seattle that really speaks to you as a person, and beyond just simply the fact that you're kind of a figurehead in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Washington pretty much my whole life, and you know, I spent majority of my career here, and I just think that I'm just totally invested in you know, in the state of Washington, and I love being up here. The summers are great, the falls can be tough, the winters can be a little tougher, but you know, I enjoy, you know, all the seasons that Washington brings, and then the reward that the summer brings of suffering through those hard months. You definitely earn it. But you know, just the community, the people, my friends, my family, you know, I just feel like I have a lot of invested in here, and just want to continue to try to just to build it up.
Yeah, Seattle's like a big little city, right? Like we're big in so many ways, but I think like you guys connecting and meeting, how close the connections are here in Seattle, that network of people.
Yeah, especially on the west side. I mean, you got the mountains that kind of just block it off a little bit. So you tend to get to know a lot of people. And then, I mean, a lot more companies are coming out here and just bringing, you know, different people from all walks of life. And so the more you kind of just get out there, you can just you know, like you just build those relationships, and, you know, and like I said, just kind of invest in the community.
Right on. Well, I love it. This has been amazing. Thank you for having us out here, Jermaine. So invest in golf and come out to Evergreen Golf Club, invest in real estate, and you know who your favorite realtors are. Any last thoughts, guys?
Thanks, man.
No, yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I mean, I personally, I love Evergreen. I think it's such a cool place. And I mean, you know, connecting with Jermaine, and you're obviously just a super down-to-earth guy. And yeah, I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, for sure.
Jermaine. Thanks.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next show.